pain that we're living under now that appears to be accelerating. They just took an entire social media platform off the internet and disappeared it. But it began in earnest in October, right before the election, when big tech united as one to censor a very specific story. It ran the New York Post, the country's oldest newspaper. And that story, as you'll remember, was about the Biden family's influence peddling operation. Now, the big tech company told us that was disinformation. It wasn't. It was all true. In fact, there is still an active federal investigation into Joe Biden's family, excuse me, his son, about his overseas business dealings. Just before the election, we spoke to a man called Tony Bobulinski, who was in fact a business partner of the Bidens and knew the details. Here's part of what he told us.
And so then Hunter and his father and security came through the bar, and obviously I stood up out of respect to shake his hand, and Hunter introduced me as, this is Tony, Dad, the individual I told you about that's helping us with the business that we're working on and the Chinese.
So it was clear to you that Joe Biden's son had told him about this business deal.
Crystal clear.
Now the White House, aligned with Silicon Valley, has to make a decision. Will they allow the media effectively to cover the story anymore? It's hard to imagine we're even asking that question in this country, but we have to because it's a real question. Miranda Devine is a columnist for the New York Post. She's been on this story since the first day it came out and reporting on it for us. Miranda, thanks so much for coming on. So this raises a really interesting and obvious question I have not heard asked before, which is, what do you do about a story about the president and his family now that the president is actually the president?
Hi, Tucker. Well, I don't really hold out much hope that a very incurious media is going to change their tune. You could say that Joe Biden won the election because of the censorship and the favourable reporting that he received. And now you saw just from the first press conference just a little over an hour ago that the media is really eating out of the Biden administration's hands. Only one reporter, that was Peter Doocy from Fox News, asked a question that was difficult, and that was one about unity. How can you possibly be preaching unity when you're trying to impeach your predecessor? So I don't think that anything will change, and all we saw before the election was that the media was quite happy to accept some complete nonsense from people like John Brennan and his former colleagues, the spooks so-called, who told us that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. Well, it wasn't, but now they have a new bogeyman, and as you rightly said, Joe Biden put it out there in his supposedly unifying inauguration speech today. It's domestic terrorists, it's white supremacists, and the definition of that depends on whether you're with us or you're against us.
That's exactly right. I can't imagine a less unifying way to organize your administration. Miranda Devine, I know that you will continue to be on this story. I appreciate your coming on. Thank you.
Thanks, Tucker.